Right, welcome back. So we're turning attention now to what you just heard, the petroleum industry. So Honorable Sergius Ogun joins us now. He is a member of the Committee on Petroleum Downstream. It's not an ad hoc committee, I thought it was. So it's the Committee on Petroleum Downstream. Good morning. Thank you for coming on today.
Thank you for having me, Jimmy.
Well, this is an area that lots of people, we've had several headaches about this sector, trying to see what can ever be the solution. It appears to have defied all kinds of solutions. Now the House has given the NNPCL 7 days to ensure that this product is distributed. Could you explain to us what this means?
Well, I think it's doable in 7 days. The challenge really was that there was a shortfall in supply. And why that? The suppliers were not willing to give the refined products because NNPC was owing.
Which are the suppliers now? There are different people in that chain.
Okay, you know the DSDP, the direct sales and direct purchase. The direct sales is you give crude oil to the companies that won the bid, and then the direct purchase is they bring refined product equivalent of the crude that they took.
That's component of the crude swap?
Yes. So I don't think that is working now because, you know, initially we were talking about the 445,000 barrels of crude oil meant for local consumption. But they are doing more than that right now because there's no refinery is working. And the consumption has also gone up locally in the country. So they are doing far more than the 445. So they're even taking the ones for term contracts. So, but the thing is, if that is really working well, you will not have a problem owing the suppliers. So bottom line is that NNPC is owing the suppliers and they are not willing to give the product.
But that appears to be one part of the challenge. Because there's another part where they also talk about lifting this product from the depots at a certain price. And so those who lift it from the depot say, look, if I lift it for what, 150 or more than 148 or more than 168, I definitely have to make my margin.
It's also the pricing. Yeah, you're correct. Okay, now, we have dollarized this whole transaction. The vessels, the daughter vessels that go to the mother vessel, you know, there's a place, the place they call Lagos Road. I don't know that you know that one. That one is the offshore Lagos. It's like offshore Lome, offshore Lagos. All the vessels are there. So the mother vessel is there that brings the products, the refined product. The daughter vessels are going there to take. Yeah. You charter those vessels with dollars.
That's the daughter vessel? The
daughter vessels. They said it used to be about $30,000, you know, for the sport charter, 8 to 10 days. Now it's about $60,000.
I understand they all have to pay in dollars.
They have to pay in dollars. And then MPA takes their docking charges in dollars.
Yeah.
NIMASA takes their fee in dollars.
Which shouldn't be.
I actually heard there's a memo from the villa. The late Abba Kyari, Chief of Staff to the President, met with the then Minister of Transportation and his agencies, and they said they should start taking their fees and tariffs in Naira. But it was ignored. So these people are going to the black market. CBN is not giving them dollars. So they are going to the market to buy dollars for these transactions within the country with government agencies. So what we should be asking MPAs, how much of this dollar are they remitting to the federation account? So now you are wondering why there will be scarcity. NNPC, I don't want to use the word broke. They're broke. They're not remitting money to the federation account. They don't have money to pay suppliers. You know, they can't deny this. If they deny this, just ask them. Yeah. They should bring their stock record for November, December 2020, November, December 2021, and this year.
Well, we need to, maybe producers can get the track for us of the NNPC spokesperson saying that we have 2 billion worth of supplies in storage, and that they do not know what this scarcity is caused by. Is it gridlock in Apapa? And, you know, that's what we heard. That was the excuse that they gave to us. What do we make of those kinds of statements?
It's not correct. I'm telling you now, it's shortfall. And again, okay, look at the vessels going to Calabar, Cocoa, Warri. Those ones I heard they used to charter for about $35,000. Now it's about $85,000.
So they have different rates for different regions.
Yes, of course. If you're taking from Lagos, just offshore Lagos, then you go to maybe Jegun or Kirikiri, you know. But now you are going to go across. I remember I chaired a committee once, another committee, when the tank farms in Delta were complaining that the Escravos channel, they need to dredge it. MPA needs to dredge it because they are required to take flat vessels, you know. And I took that up with MPA. So why are you not dredging it? So they are paying more for the vessels that are bringing the products here.
I was going to ask you that question because this issue of dredging has been on for the longest of times. Remember that when the House of Reps, was the same House of Reps that sat over the subsidy brouhaha in 2012. And, you know, part of what we heard was, that's when we heard of mother vessels and daughter vessels for those of us who knew nothing about the sector. And then there were questions as to why should there be mother vessels and why can't the vessels just dock at port? And they said, oh, the place needed to be dredged. And this is 2022. 10 years after, we're still saying the same thing about mother vessels and daughter vessels. Obviously, I mean, when you look at how much money we're talking about here, and when we talk about the fact that these transactions are done in dollars, there are obviously people who are benefiting from the process. And, you know, it will not be certainly in their interest if the rivers were dredged. Is there nothing we can do to force the hand of government to see the benefit in actually doing something about it?
Well, you know, I think 1 Timothy chapter 2, verse 2 talks about you pray for kings, for those in authority.
So that we may live a peaceable and quiet life.
Thank you, Chamberlain. So it's very important. People say, don't over-spiritualize this whole thing. It's very important. We like what the president is doing now with CBN. He's put his foot down. You know, if you ask me, the daily withdrawal is okay. We can manage. We had started that during the days of this former CBN governor. You know, but why did we take our eyes off it? So the point I'm trying to make is we need to pray for the president to be strong. In this industry, you have strong cartels. Why is NNPC broke? Because of the crude oil theft. So, well, we have capacity to do 3 million barrels per day. If you remember, in the past years, we were doing, for our budgeting, we were benchmarking with 2.1, 2.2 million barrels per day. To get to a level where we are struggling to do 1 million barrels per day, something must give. So they do not have the money. So you have to be able to break this cartel.
They've said the oil production has ramped up somewhat, though. There's been some celebration around certain quarters. I think we're doing roughly around 1.5 million barrels per day now.
Yes, okay, you are aware of the Tanita contracts with TP.
Yes.
Yeah, that axis is a bit free now from what we know. You know, the Trans-Forcados pipeline, TFP, the Escravos, the Trans-Ramos. But what about the Trans-Niger pipeline going to Bonny? They are still tapping that one on a daily basis, you know? So, but, I mean, something has improved a bit. But, you know, NNPC has been owing most of the suppliers for a while. So it's going to take time for us to recover. So the point I'm making is the president will have to take the courage to stop some of these things. He will not hear all. He will hear some, but he needs the courage to stop most of these things.
Essentially, what you're saying is that we do not have crude in, beg your pardon, we do not have supply of product in country.
There was a shortfall, but they are ramping up now because some of the suppliers are taking futures. NNPC has promised, you know, it's not all. So I think it's going to come down in a short while because they have been able to work out something with some of the suppliers.
What about the price?
If you notice, you know, they used to go around filling stations and talking about they are selling above. Nobody's saying that right now. So what everybody's concerned about now is just the supplies. And nobody's talking about prices. Chamberlain, you mentioned something about prices in certain areas.
Yes.
You have people like Pinnacle. They have a discharge point that can take vessels over 100 metric tons. The challenge you also, Mark, you also mentioned something about the dredging. I think the MPA, that's in Lagos now, Apapa, is rated 47,000, can take 47,000 metric ton of vessels. But today, they cannot do even up to 26,000 metric tons. So there's a limit to the size of cargoes that can come in. In 2015, I raised this one with Austin Oniwo who used to be GMD and NPC. And I said, look, why are these vessels offshore Lagos? Why can't they come into our water? Why can't they come into MPA? He says, well, that's not his business. He pays whatever tariffs he needs to pay to MPA. So now you have a Minister of Transportation who reports, attended the same FEC meeting with the Minister of Petroleum. They cannot sit down, iron this out. They take all that cost and put it on Nigerians. You know? Wow. So Pinnacle can receive directly in their facility. Same thing with MROS. So if you go and check those ones, they are selling for about 170. And I also heard that NNPC is discharging straight to Moman. So some of these people are selling for 170 when you see queues.
You're just talking about NNPC. Recently, they increased the number of major marketers from 7 to 27. And there have been questions as to what precisely they were trying to achieve with that. That's one. And then you also hear Moman saying they do not recognize the major marketers, which NNPC just recently recognized, or elevated, as the case might be. What's the politics behind that? I
don't know. But it will take time for them to resolve that. Well, you know, they are also big, they are big players now. You know, like the likes of the Pinnacle coming in. You know, they have that facility, like I said, that can take big vessels. And then they have their tank farm in the Bejuleki and all that. But you don't have roads. So even if you say, okay, don't do offshore Lagos anymore, the vessels should come to Pinnacle and discharge there.
So trucking is also another challenge. Yeah. But Honorable, have you heard about this thing they call PFI system money? Some say there's a certain Siaku who collects, but he heads this collection of this system money, which is now in the region of $300,000, again in dollars. And they say this is part of the challenge because I read about it almost everywhere. There's that complaint. And nobody seems to be doing anything about it because it's impacting heavily on this overall cost of the product.
Which is Siaku? Is it not the MRS guy?
No, they said, well, the one that's in charge of what they call system money. And they say the system money is usually not accounted for. Now, I heard lots of oil marketers say that is a challenge that needs to be addressed in the sector.
Well, I'm not aware of that.
Nothing about, you ever heard of PFI system money that they pay?
I've heard of PFI, but you know, like I said earlier, the president would need the grace. The president we voted for in 2015 is the man they call the man with steel. But he came in, those that brought him in did not allow him to do a whole lot. I mean, you just said something about how can you have a presidential memo saying that agencies under you should not collect dollars anymore, and it's ignored. Where is the steel? You know? So it's a case of people brought you in, they need to make their money back. That's my thinking anyway. You know? So as long as we allow things like this to remain in the system, you weaken the system.
So can the House or National Assembly also pick up on that and say, listen, if that is a recommendation, now we're taking it up as well, lending our voice to say, look, every of that transaction between FG and these other agencies must be in Naira, not in dollars.
Okay, you know the minister was appointed or is usually appointed by the president, so they are all same arm of executive. If your boss issues a memo, I know we will serve as a watchdog or as a check on them. But the point is, if you ignore your boss, it's the boss that we should be querying, not the minister. When I chaired that committee, I actually wrote to MPA because I asked the tank farm owners in Delta, what are the issues? And that's when they complained about the Escravos channel and that the fact that they are paying their tariffs to MPA in dollars. And I had the MPA person there attend the meeting, the town hall meeting, the stakeholders meeting we had. And I pointedly asked them, why are you collecting dollars? This boy in Nigeria. They didn't give any meaningful response. And I wrote, say you should stop this.
If they're even collecting the dollars, are they remitting same in dollars?
See, exactly. If they are remitting, what is the base? Okay, they are remitting to the federation account.
Yes.
They are reporting it in Naira, in Naira, not dollars.
Dollars.
And that will be the official rate.
Yeah, and as a matter of fact, the challenge with that too is that what they told us is that when CBN, as you said, don't give them this forex, they go to the black market. So if they get it from black market, they have to make their margin.
Of course.
And they pass it down to us consumers. So it's a cycle that needs to be addressed. But we also will have another perspective from Lagos, and then we'll just go back and forth. Ayo.
Thank you, Chamberlain. Adegboye Gadeniji joins us this morning as well. He is Lagos State Coordinator, Big Tent of the Third Force, and Southwest Coordinator, Grassroots Mobilization for Labour Party's PCC. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Thank you for having me.
Well, I'm sure you have some reactions. You've been retorting here all the while, you know. But one of the issues that you may want to respond to is what the Honorable Sergio Sogun said about people more concerned about the supply of fuel than the price.
Yes, because the people need it. And it is unfortunate that most of our leaders who are in position of leadership are reactionary elements. They react to problems. Instead of being proactive, imagine, being visionary, and provide in advance for any eventuality, they will now react to challenges. That's exactly why we are here. I don't know why at this time.
When you say reactionary,
yes,
what exactly are you talking about?
Yes, I'm talking to what the damage control they are trying to provide for the scarcity of fuel. In the first place, why should fuel be scarce in Nigeria? Why should we not have functional refineries? In the past 15 years in Nigeria, our refineries have not been working.
Well, that conversation is an endless one. But speaking specifically to this one, I mean, government has come out to say, look, it's not a problem of availability.
Okay.
It's that of supply. It's the private sector largely, I mean, that's what seems to be the communication, that is responsible for the supply chain, not essentially just government. So government seems to have played its part. It's just now in the hands of fellow Nigerians like you and I in various offices to ensure that these things that you're talking about are addressed.
Everybody, government officials that give the opportunity, they are rent-seeking officials. They take their kickbacks. That is why. Because everybody in the private sector that is in business pays back to the rent-seeking officials in government. And that's the fundamental change.
When you say, when you say rent-seeking, getting kickbacks, what exactly are you talking about?
I am talking about the relationship between the private sector people and the government officials. You can see that they collect in dollars and they pay government in naira. Why should that be? You see, that is the bottleneck they create.
How is that a problem for you?
It's a problem for the generality of Nigerians.
Well, how is it a problem?
Why should we be in Nigeria and be transacting in dollars? If you want to go to America, you go and use dollar to trade there. Why should we be trading in dollars in Nigeria?
But don't forget that, you know, everyone says, I mean, especially those in the sector, say that petroleum products, you know, whichever one of them, they are international products and consequently denominated in dollars and not just in the local currency of any country.
Who imports? It's not NNPC that imports. NNPC imports the fuel and then distributes to this private sector. So the NNPC they sell crude in dollars, isn't it? NNPC sells crude in dollars. So they have to transact in dollars. When it comes to business in Nigeria, it should be in naira. That's more reason why our naira is becoming valueless. Because they have purchased all the dollars in the central bank and nobody can have access to it. So all these people are rent-seeking. And that's the fundamental change we are advocating. And that is the wave is going around every part of the country now.
So what do you think is missing? I mean, you've talked about the fact that, you know, some people are rent-seeking, government is not proactive, government is reactive. But there are those, I mean, just as Honorable Ogun said the other time, everyone, you also mentioned it before we came on air, everyone has a role to play. So it's not just those who are elected into office that have those roles to play. Also, those people, fellow Nigerians like you and I who work in government offices, need to do their bit. So how should we be speaking to those ones if they do not do what they're supposed to do? What should be done to them?
Thank you. The system has been rotten for years. And that's the reason why we are advocating for system change. There must be a fundamental change in our interpersonal and intergovernmental relationships in this country. It is too obvious that everybody now does not value service to humanity. Everybody values service to self. That is why any government official will be in office and is thinking of how he's going to make his own money. Everybody wants to become a billionaire. Whereas all you need are essentials of life. You know, so if that has been taken away, the propensity to be a commission agent, to seek rent, to take bribe from other users of your service, then social welfare infrastructure, functional ones, are put in place. That everybody, there will be a leveler.
When you say system change,
yes,
sounds like something everybody would want. But what would be your suggestion about how that system change should happen?
Good. It is very, very simple. We have been advocating. That is exactly what the Big Tent is doing. The Big Tent is a conglomerate of high net worth, patriotic Nigerians, organizations, NGOs, and civil society organizations that have gone through the system and agreed that this system must be changed.
How?
That, yes, through the election of patriotic Nigerians who are ready to serve. Their body language alone will tell you that, yes, this is not somebody who is after nepotism, who is after tribalism, who wants to serve the generality of Nigerians.
We've heard that before. I mean, every Nigerian, you also have heard that. I'm coming somewhere. I'm coming somewhere.
Yeah.
We've heard that before. I mean, we want to change things, want to make a difference and all those things. I mean, Nigerians have heard that countless times down through the generations. Good. The question is, how? When these people get into office, they're not going to do the heavy lifting themselves. They're going to have to route it through people, through the same system.
Good.
That's why I'm asking, how will the system change happen?
The body language of the leadership will tell you that this leadership will not accept corruption or half measure. This leadership is all about productivity. It's all about rent seeking. This leadership is about service to humanity.
So you're saying anyone who doesn't fall in line will be sacked? Is that what you're saying?
He will find his way out. The system will not condone it.
Okay. Well,
yes.
Honorable Ogun, you said something similar the other time that, I mean, there's been a number of challenges concerning people doing things the right way and not doing things the right way. And you've written several times. You mentioned that earlier. If you are to speak to this system change thing, what would be your take if indeed you agree that it's a good idea? Well, I have always advocated for building strong institutions. Most of the things we are talking about today didn't start today. Like the group CEO of NNPC Limited going to the Niger Delta with the chief of defense staff and discovering those pipes, you know, that we were using to tap from the trunk lines. That didn't start today. That's been there. So I think his efforts should be commended. Even we are talking about scarcity now. There's a whole lot happening there. Atlas Cove, they have the SBM, so you can discharge a whole lot into Atlas Cove and pump, you know, via pipeline to other places. But why have they stopped that? Because they discovered that less than 40% of what is discharged there gets to the destination. That didn't start today. Who are the people breaking those pipes of finished product? Nigerians. Who are those stealing the ones, the crude oil? Yeah, maybe Nigerians, you know, connive with those that are bringing in vessels. So there's a system collapse. So we need to start talking about this and changing and building strong institutions. It's not so much of what anybody comes to tell us today. You know, those campaigning for the exalted office of the president. The question, they can say a whole lot right now, but the system is in a mess. Honorable, the question is how? How will that system change happen if over the past 20, 21, 22 years, that system is still the way it is? How will that system change happen? We have to have somebody I will listen more to a presidential candidate that is appealing, not the ones making big promises because there's no money. I will listen to one that will say, I will do 1 term maybe, and I will achieve X, Y, Z before I will think about a second term. If I don't achieve it, I won't even bother to come out. Because if you really want to change some of these things, you must come with the mind of doing 1 term. Because they will sell you the story of you have second term to run. And the second term story comes in by your 2nd year in office. The 2nd year in office, they start telling you to prepare for your second term. And you can't rout these people in 2 years. So you have to have a bit of insanity. I think President Obasanjo has mentioned something like that. Be ready to whip everybody into shape, first term. So if they gang up and not give you a second term, you would have swept enough of the debt.
Okay.
Have swept enough of the debt from the house.
Okay. Well, you've heard him. You have a response to him.
Yes.
Okay.
It is very, very clear. He has hit the nail on the head. To achieve the system change, we must be able to get the type of leadership that is not interested in his immediate personal issues, that's ready to serve, a contented personality that has decided to give his all to serve the humanity of Nigerians. And that's exactly what the Big Tent has been able to bring to the table.
Well, we'll definitely expect a lot more from anyone who would, want to serve Nigerians, because at the end of the day, that is what it's about, service.
Yes,
and,
service.
As the Honorable said, it's not just enough in the big talk, it's the big action that Nigerians are looking for.
That's right.
We certainly will have you here another time to talk more to us about this and a number of other issues. Adeboye Gadeniji is Lagos State Coordinator, Big Tent of the 3rd Force, and Southwest Coordinator, Grassroots Mobilization, Labour Party Presidential Campaign Council. Thank you once again.
Thank you for having me, Ayo.
Truly appreciate it. Chamberlain, over to you. So, Honorable, as you wind down now, was there any kind of commitment, or are you looking to get commitment from all of these other agencies, whether it's IPMAN, DAPMAN, NURT, PTW, NUPENG, concerning this 7-day notice that they need to make the product available?
Yeah, I think IPMAN made a commitment that if they are giving the products, they will make sure it goes out there, gets out immediately. And I think they're also talking about having the compliance team that will comprise IPMAN, MOMAN, DAPMAN, NATO, the truck owners, and maybe NNPC, and then maybe the media, and DSS and police. So if you say you have sent 100 trucks to Suleja Depot, you have a situation room. So with the officials there, 100 trucks go to Suleja Depot, where they will let us know the destination of those 100 trucks. From Suleja Depot, you have dispatched these trucks to where? Did they get there? There's a report that most of the filling stations in Borno were bombed by Boko Haram over 10 years ago. But if you go and check, those filling stations are still getting products.
Supplies.
Where do they go to? I think there's one they called, Operation White or something. I think I was said that they sent DSS to a certain border. In a few minutes when they got there, 40 trucks crossed the border.
They're smuggling this product.
Oh, yes. So the midstream and the Nigerian midstream and midstream and downstream regulatory authority, we need to do more in that direction, because I think what is happening now is there is a marketer that is handling that part of the country, Matrix or so. It's not enough to say a marketer has paid for the product you have given to the product to the marketer, because that product is subsidized. It goes out there across the border, people are making money from it. So for every truck that leaves point A to point B, they should be able to account for them.
So what do you think about what some of them also say, that NNPC being the sole importer seems to be giving them a challenge?
There's a big issue too. But I think we're going to be over that in a short while. We're not going to coming on stream maybe first quarter next year. But again, the minister told me we're just going to be saving 80 naira.
80 naira?
I mean 8 naira. He said 8 naira.
Oh.
That's what we're just going to be saving. But I think we're going to save a little more than that. But I think some of these naira transactions will come down a bit. Then we also have to prevail on NIMASA and MPA to scrap this payment in dollars. You know, if we do that, I think the government agencies are not helping at all. And the government should rein them in. Because we are passing this cost to the everyday Nigerian.
Yeah. You
know, and then we are complaining that price of things have gone up. Like the vessels we are talking about going to Warri, Calabar, they're talking about the January, February, diesel was about 180 naira. Now they are using diesel to run their vessels. It's about 800 naira. So of course, something we have to give.
And at some point, they even say that even the mother vessels, they have problems getting mother vessels to even kind of receive the product themselves before the daughter vessels can even access it from the mother vessels. So we have all sorts of challenges in that sector that really needs to be focused on and addressed. But I want to thank you for coming on, Honorable Sergius Ogunwusi, member committee on petroleum downstream.
Thank you for having me.